I've done this video before, and it's like, stop trying to be friends with your exes. Can you really be friends with your exes? You can never be friends with your ex. And what does that mean? Does not mean that you cannot be cordial. It does not mean that you guys can't, if you saw them, how are you? You don't have to hate your ex, but you can't be friends with someone that you have kissed before. I mean, you can say you're friends, but there's still a line that's been crossed. And with that, it means we can't remain as close as we used to. Now, there's a lot of people that do that. They have their reasons. But listen, you've been demoted, and now you're just, you're in that position now. That's what it is. You've been demoted. And it's more comfortable keeping you in that position because you can't ask of them as much as you did, or they don't have to consider, and they don't have to do certain things and meet your needs as they attempted or did not try to do, or gave up doing, or became indifferent to. And so I'm like, it's not a bad thing. Things happen in our relationship. Things went down. That's how you look at it. You learn from it. You grow from it. You got to move on. Learn to let go of any hurt and pain. But we're not about to be friends, because really what happens is, and when I say that, it means you're not going to be texting and calling me. You don't need to text me and call me for my birthday. I'm not going to text and call you for your birthday. You're not going to just call me up to have small talk. We're not going to discuss the new person in my life. We're not going to be discussing spouses. I'm not going to be giving you advice about your new girlfriend and your wife and who you have in your life. I don't need to know what you're struggling with and what you're going through. Those things are off limits. And so what happens a lot of times, as I said in videos past, is that person is just salvaging those little things that they liked about you. They like this aspect of you. They like that you can make them laugh. They like that you guys can talk about certain things. But they were not willing to go all the way as far as doing whatever was required to maintain that relationship. But if I can still get little things off of you, that's what it boils down to. That's what it boils down to. And then sometimes you ladies are wondering why you can't get things right in your own relationship, because you're still in a relationship with your ex. You're still pouring your precious oil out to your ex. You're still having conversations. You guys can still talk. He can still text you. You remember that time? She can still text you. Do you remember that time? She can be somewhere. Oh, I'm at that place that we went to, and they still have this. Who's still here? You're still having these type of conversations. And a lot of times what happens with a breakup is really it's like when you're still tied to all your different exes, it's like you're just in little fractions all over the place. And people are not really understanding that. They don't think anything of it. And perhaps maybe at one point in my life I would have thought differently. But then again, even before I became a believer in the Lord, I never, if you're my ex, you're my ex. I'm not interested in knowing anything about you. Nope. I'm not saying if they got hurt or something like that, it'll be sad, something bad happened, they had a death in the family, I'm sorry to hear that. Those are common curses if you know that. But I'm not interested. I don't want to know what you're doing, where you're at. I'm not trying to be in the same places with you. I'm not trying to still keep in touch with a friend. I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing all that. If you're the one that frequent this place, then all right, you go ahead and go. I'll find another spot to go to. And it's not a bad thing. I literally just understand what it is. We're over, and there's no reason to try to seek out or to try to see. There's nothing to see. I've seen, and that's it. There are things that you may learn from your relationships with this individual, but what you do with yourself is you move on. You move on with your life, and you allow yourself to heal, and you face the reality of why certain things happen. See yourself in whether you were at fault or you allowed yourself to remain in a relationship that was not good, that was unhealthy, and you explore why that happened. And, you know, as believers in the Lord, we seek God about those things and we pray, and the Lord will reveal some things to you so that you will be better for who is for you. And honestly, guys, you just don't want to keep on having like a bunch of exes. We lived in a society where, and in a world where it's like, you know, it's good, you date someone, you break up with them, they're your ex now, then you move on to the next person, and then you date and you hope that works out. But if it doesn't, you break up with them, then that's your ex. But every time you're with somebody, you know, there's a deposit that's made in your life. There's a connection. Now you have to undo all that and heal yourself and repair yourself again. And spiritually and emotionally, that's just too much. So there's some people you may say, I'm better friends with my ex than I was with them. It's not that you're better friends. They no longer have to meet your needs. And that's going to make it better. If I can get and buy let's see, I like watches. So let's say if I can go and buy a certain brand of watch at 75% off, and it's a quality watch, but I don't have to pay as much for it, and it's the same quality that's good, absolutely, I'm in.
What a lot of people have a hard time grasping and realizing is that you've been demoted. And so you can say you're a better friend, you're like a brother to me, he's like a sister to me, we're close confidants, when in fact what it is, they just want to salvage the good things out of you without fully committing to you. It's easier to be with you, it's easier to laugh with you because there's no commitment, there's no obligation to give you the things that you needed for the relationship to work.
And so that's the same thing that happens. It's the same thing that happens. And sometimes, guys, you know, they talk about soul ties. You're just still connected. It's like this one little thing. You ever seen people that break up and they're arguing over a sweater? They can't go on their own way. There's just this thing still lingering. Like, oh, well, you got my sweater. And you're trying, you know, there's just the sweater that keeps y'all together. You know, y'all got to be talking to each other, calling each other, texting each other about the sweater. Where it's like, just give up the sweater or let go of it. But something keeps you tied to one another. And I understand some of you, your exes, you may have children, you share custody and all of that. And it's best to do what you can to try to have a courteous relationship with this individual, but we don't have to be chippering and chattering about things. We'll talk about the children, but you don't need to know my personal life. You know, perhaps something happens, you're always going to look out for one another and care about each other. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, because there's normally one person in the relationship that's trying to be difficult. But if you are fortunate enough to be where you can have a good relationship, then that's fine. But even then, there's still boundaries. The way you have to look at it, if you're pouring out your oil and you're pouring out what's precious within you to your ex that had it all, but now they want a fraction of it, or they want to deal with you when it's convenient. They can still get your advice. They can still hear your voice. They can still basically just certain things they can still get from you without investing in you completely. And what is that about? You know what I mean? So guys, it's not bitterness and it's not being salty, but it's a realization of keeping clean delineation, keeping the lines clear, ensuring that I have nothing that's there that's lingering. You will not continue to siphon out, you know, precious things from me as an individual when you had the whole shebang. When you compromise that. And so that man has the best of both worlds, or that woman, she has perhaps the person she left you for in her life, or the woman he left you for, and he still has you on the side, a willing participant, a willing substitute. Now you're cheering them on the way and helping them out. And you may have these conversations where you're like, you'll say certain things. Oh, well, you know how you were. That's probably what you did with her. And, oh, she probably doesn't know this about you. And he probably doesn't know this about that. Do you still do this? Do you still do that? Once you've crossed that line, you can never, ever truly just be friends. It's never going to happen, guys. A line has been crossed. You have become one flesh in some way, form, or fashion, whether it's emotionally, whether it's physically, whatever it may be. And for that very reason, you claiming that you're just friends with someone and being friends with your ex, so we're better friends, that's not reality. And there will be things in your conversation and little memory lanes that you go down with them, little conversations and little things that you will do and say that's going to let you know that even though you're saying that you're just friends, there's certain lines that can still easily be crossed. And all the reason more that when you say that you're friends, then you need to treat them just like you do any of your other friends. As a matter of fact, a little less than that, because you may have friends that you call and text all the time. So this message has to be for somebody. And some people, they may or may not get with it. They'll be like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. We're different. And to that, I have nothing else to say. I can't argue with that. But 9 times out of 10, most often than not, no one is truly, truly friends with their ex. Regardless of, it's not a matter of if you're still kissing or if you're still having the same thing. You don't have to. It's simply a connection that has not yet been, cut off. It's simply a connection that continues to linger. And someone needs to take the step to let it go. Or continue living the life you want to live. Continue doing that. But as long as you have that hole, as long as you got that leak, you're not going to be in a place to really receive whoever God has for you. You're never going to be in a position to truly be 100% who you need to be to your current mate, husband, or wife. You will not be able to do it. All right, guys. Whether you believe that or not, it's up to you. Your ex is 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 your ex. And they became your ex for a reason. Being better friends simply mean I no longer have to give you the things that you wanted of me while still being able to salvage whatever good things I liked about you and call you a friend. All right, guys. Peace.